Hello, everyone who is hopping on to join today's webinar. I'm going to give it just one more minute, let a few more folks join today's presentation, and then we'll go ahead and get things started. All right, thank you everyone for joining us today. This is Transform Your Fab Operations, connecting Revit to the prefab shop. Now, as a reminder for everyone, this webinar is being recorded and we will forward the recording to all registrants. You can also find all of the Evolve webinar recordings on the Evolve MEP YouTube channel. If you have any questions during today's webinar, please submit them in the Q&A function in the Zoom toolbar, and we'll take your questions as we go through our presentation today. Great. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Adam and Steve, who are going to be leading our talk today.
Awesome. Thanks, Marina. I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll jump right into this. All right, so the focus of the webinar is to kind of go through the latest Revit integration with Evolve Shop. So I won't go too much in detail with the shop product itself. I'll kind of assume some of it's known. Can certainly answer any questions anybody has as we go through this. Feel free to throw them into the chat. Or, and at the end, if we have time, we can always go into more detail there. But the starting point here will be inside of a project where I have a series of work requests. Oftentimes these are pre-planned. We know what we're going to spool. We know how we're going to package things. We start creating placeholders. As an example here, and I'll do an electrical and a mechanical example. They're very similar, but just for the sake of the demo, I'll do that. So let's just say for electrical here, I need to spool some underground skids. I'm going to fabricate these. So I'm going to need those today. So I'll create my work request. So that's the setup piece from the website. It's just simply creating that work request. So now we'll jump right into Revit here. And this is where we get into the main integration and where it shows up for the Revit user. So what we're going to find is in the integrations panel, you'll have an Evolve Shop. So this is a separate installer. It's available to shop users or it's only applicable to shop users, but it's available to any Revit user, but it's a separate installation, mainly because this is going to allow us to make updates and changes to this integration and how it works, put enhancements and new features separately from the main product. So the two are kind of independent from each other. So that's why you see that over here. There's three simple buttons. The first one here is just a simple little info graphic there. The second one is the assigned project. So as you saw on the website, I started in a project. So I obviously have to align my Revit file with that project. So I'm just going to assign it to UConn Science Lab. This can be changed if needed, and you can assign multiple Revit files to one shop project as well. So that's not a problem. The main button here is where the meat and potatoes is, submit spools. So basically what we're looking at in this main interface here are three sections. We have our Revit spools, which is a list of the Revit spools. On the right here, we have our work request for that project, for my UConn project. You'll see here's my underground skids that I had just created. The bottom part is a summary of the mapping. So this comes into play for showing you what you've done, also what has been done in the past. So it's kind of a summary of everything. It also comes into play with updates. So towards the end of this, I'll kind of show how that kind of ties in. But the main two here are the upper left and right ones, where you have your spools, you have your work request. The process is you grab your spool, you throw it to your work request, or you grab your work request, throw it to the spool. Doesn't matter which way you drag and drop, but you're just basically aligning what are the items that are going into what package, what work request, right? And then you just simply say publish. Um, just before I publish it, just to go over a few of the options. Basically, you have three main options here that you can include. Do I want to send the PDF? Do I want to send a bill of material? Do I want to send any CSV attachments? Uh, PDF is straightforward. It's your spool sheet. Bill of material is an itemized list of all your parts and pieces. This is configured through a data profile. For electrical, we have defaults made for electrical mechanical. They vary obviously because the content's different, but it can be adjusted. The CSV file is something we threw in there. An example of what you would do is a cut list in this example, but you can basically make any type of CSV file with Evolve and throw it in there if you want to, and I'll show you where that comes in. So those are the options. The last thing to just point out is you can do a status change during the submitting. So we'll see kind of what that looks like here. So I'll go ahead and hit publish, and we'll publish through those two spools. So here's one of them in the lower left. So you'll see the status change will take effect. I just have a simple coloring filter on there. We'll see that change. There we go. And this will give you a summary. So skid one, skid two. Oh, skid one must not be there. So it just gave me an error. Skid two came out with success. So this is basically just a summary of what was published. And that's really it from the integration. Now from the website, what this looks like is, let me just back up here. And there's my underground skids. So there's my skid two that was sent and my bill of material. Just take a second to process through. So there's my bill of material for that item. And if I click on my properties, I'll see my attachments where I have my PDF. I can just open that in my browser if I wanted to. And my cut list is a CSV file that I could download. So I'll jump to mechanical and kind of go through the similar things. A couple more options for mechanical that's worth pointing out. And I'll also go into like the status changes and how that takes place. Do we want to, I think we have a poll questions. Do we want to throw those out there? And I'll just
Yeah,
switch real
let's
quick.
send that out while you're transitioning um, to
Yes.
mechanical.
Mhm.
Our first poll question is, do you spend a lot of time looking for information such as BOM, cut lists, and MAG files and other Revit files? All right, those answers are coming in, and we've got 80%, over 80% of our audience saying, yes, our team spends too much time trying to locate files. Yep, and yeah, 90% of you guys are struggling with this, and that is exactly why we have built the Revit to Work request feature. When spooling in Revit is complete, do you have to manually export spool sheets to get them to the prefab shop? And again, we're seeing that a good portion of our audience is saying, yes, we are doing that manually right now.
Adam, you all fired up on your side?
Yep.
Marina, we can run those last two poll questions after we do some mechanical spooling. Is that fine?
Perfect. Let's get into mechanical.
All right.
Awesome. So I'm in a mechanical project here. I've already created a placeholder for my pipe spools, level 1 pipe spools. I'm also creating one for duct. I'll just create one on the fly in Revit here. But one thing to point out is, whether you're separating it into different facilities, you have actual different buildings or just segmented shops, there is a way to have multiple facilities. So I'm going to send my pipe to the mechanical shop. I'll send duct to sheet metal as an example here. So I've created those and, oh, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, good point, Adam. The cloud product, for any of you guys that on a call that aren't aware, we can support any number of facilities, mechanical, plumbing, electrical. Some of our contractors are multi-trade. And so that can all be separated out on the cloud side and get it into the right facility, which is really nice on our side. So you can push that Revit data wherever it needs to go.
Yep. So I'm in Evolve Mechanical here. So the integration, it is a separate integration between electrical and mechanical, because we'll see as I pull up my submit spools here, there's a couple of other options that are just worth noting. Basically, you have the ability to attach PCF and MAJ files. So just with this one difference, and some nuances here, they are separate installers, so they install in different ribbons. But as far as like the workflow and everything, it's the same exact thing. Drag my spools over to my work request, go ahead and publish it. So here I have a PCF file attached. This will process through, give me a summary of what's being sent and if I have any errors. We'll take a look at this on the website, and then I'll do a duct spool real quick. Again, same process, but I'll include an MAJ file with that. And then we'll look at some statuses and updates and how that all comes into play. So success for both of those, good. Jump over to the website. You can just double check. There's my pipe spools. There's the two. Now I have two spools in this example. So when I'm expanding out this bill of material here, in this view, what I'm looking at is a composite bill of material, meaning it's the summary of both these spools right here. This is everything. Now, when I go into the work request, I'll see my itemized spools, and this bill of material is per spool, right? So the previous view is basically put these two things together. Typically you have some overlap, so it'll just summarize the quantities. And then in this view, it's by spool. And you'll see as I come back here and we look at the attachments, I have a lot more because we have now the PCF file to go along with this. So let's
Adam,
do
can I
a,
just jump in there for 1 second?
yeah.
Can you jump back into the cloud for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
So the main purpose of this push of files from Revit is to support our digital workflows on the shop. So we're not going to get into that today on this call, but this automates the movement of data from Revit to the shop product, and all of these attachments, these files, PCFs, MAJs, Excel lists, cut lists, whatever, is available in the production workflow out at the shop floor by the operators. So we support a fully digital workflow, and this is one way to achieve that digital workflow directly from Revit with the push of relevant data. So these attachments will ultimately be available on the shop floor in the production work cells for the operators to view and to manufacture from these documents. So just want to point that out, Adam, what that's actually going to provide for us in the shop product.
Yeah. And the shop does have a method to manually attach files as well. So if you had product data or something you want to throw in there, it's certainly available. Like one of the poll questions about manually moving files around to people and that stuff, that is a focus of this. It's streamlining the deliverables from Revit to
And
shop.
one more way we can support that is by the add link there that you see. You can upload URL documents, SharePoint documents, Procore documents, those type of things in addition to whatever came from Revit. So we basically have a complete operation where you can upload all of the required deliverables from Revit or elsewhere directly to the work request. So yeah, that'll cover that.
I've got a question here from our audience asking, are BOMs in work requests bringing in the schedules that populate on the spool sheets, or is it from a data profile?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's from a data profile. Potentially, right, it could match a bomb schedule, but the profile is the mechanism which tells it like what the how the bomb is laid out, where the parameter data is, and that type of stuff. Um, so we've already had some requests about being able to attach additional sheets and schedules and things like that. That certainly is something we're looking into for the future. But yeah, the way it's configured today is a data profile. Good question. All right, so just real quick, let me just do a duck spool and let's call this A1. We'll make a sheet, sure. Grab something, spool it. Oh, where'd my window go? All right. So as far as the workflow goes, again, no difference whether you're doing electrical, mechanical, you're sending spools to work request. Just create a quick sheet here. The only difference for processing through ductwork would be, if I want to include an MAJ file. Again, I have the same options. Think of Prefab Manager by changing statuses. Statuses are coming from the database, the dynamic calls if you want to include them. But if I wanted to send A1 over here, I can do that. And what I'll do is, so that's successful. We'll look at statuses real quick. I see a question here. Does the spool have to be a spool sheet, or can we bring in assemblies as well? Um, so if the question means, does the spool have to have a sheet? The answer is no, it doesn't. Um, just kind of on the fly here, let me just give you an example of what it looks like. So I won't create a sheet and I'll just spool whatever, that thing, call it A2. All right, so I have this random spool, no sheet involved. So if I wanted to, I can come into here. There's my A2, no sheet. I'm going to send it to that same line item there. Now, I do have the option to send sheets. So when I publish this, it's going to go, but it's going to go with an error and basically say no sheet found.
We do have
So
a question from our audience about spools while we're here. Does the spool have to be on a spool sheet, or can we bring in assemblies as well?
yep. So yeah, that's what I'm going through. Yep, exactly. So yes, you can just send assemblies. So let's take a look at this. So this sent, and let's look at our duct spools. So there's A1, A2. Now, if I look at my attachments here, I'm not going to have a PDF for A2. I do have an MAJ, but I wouldn't have an attachment, a PDF attachment for it. So you don't need a sheet per se if you didn't want one, I guess. So let's go ahead and submit this. So this is going to my duct shop, my sheet metal shop here. So there's my duct spools.
Looks like
And
we've got another quick question here. Can you send out prefab packages instead of individual spools?
yeah, good question. Currently, no, you cannot send the package. That is definitely going to be something we're going to come out with sooner than later. Um, yep. So the first integration, first version of this was spools only, but packages will be coming. All right. So I've submitted the duct spools. So now I'm inside of my sheet metal facility. So when I fire up this submit spools dialog, what we're going to see is you'll see my status change to submitted. So I'm seeing a real-time status here, or as I'm opening, I'm getting my status update. And down here with my summary, you're going to see the status is represented by spool. And there's a column here for is updatable. which means, can I make an update? So if I came in, I didn't make a sheet for A2. If I wanted to add the sheet for A2 later or add a note to it, I could certainly do that. Basically, all I have to do is check the box, hit publish, and this is just going to update that one line item. So I didn't make a sheet, but that's what it would do. So now if I'm in this area, so now just think of it as we're sending it to prefab. Somebody's got to look at it. Am I going to build this? Do I have what I need? Is it ready to go? Yes, I'm going to approve it. So now it's in an approved status. So again, coming back to here, firing this up again, you'll see the work request is removed from here because if you look down at the bottom here, this is no longer updatable. So this is like the one kind of like restriction where we did put it in because if you think about it from a workflow perspective, Prefab has accepted this work request. You know, they have this work order. They're ready to work on it. They're going to be working on it at any time. You can't really just input changes on them on the fly without them knowing about it. So the process for this is really putting it, if this was a condition where you've already executed this in Prefab and now they need an update, then the process is putting it into a block status, basically putting it on hold. Then it'll become updatable. You can update it and then put it back into production. So there is a workflow to do it, but just wanted to show how the status changes are seen in Revit and how they impact
Adam,
spools.
the update when it's pushed, I don't know if you mentioned this, I might have missed it, but that update when you push it is a complete overwrite of all the data, right? When you,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't say, yeah, exactly. So like if I added a part to the spool, made a note on the PDF, whatever I did, by doing an update, I just get everything. It's like a scorched earth, just goes
Yeah,
everywhere.
wipes it out and then republishes everything.
Hmm. Yep.
Great.
Um,
Looks like we have another question here. Chris asks, what is the MAJ file?
yeah, MAJ files a ductwork file for processing through CamDuct and stuff like that. So it's a file format that gives you
It's an
the
output file from Revit.
mhm. Yep. Yeah, so it'd be a fabrication thing.
Great, thank you. And another one here. When a spool is marked approved and not updatable, does it pin so changes can't be made?
No, it doesn't, but that's a good idea. Yeah, good idea for future enhancement.
Great.
That's why we love these webinars.
Yep.
All
It
right,
gives
is
questions.
now a good time to run that next poll, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's clean up the poll questions and then we've got about 6 minutes left.
Yeah, so as we're running these, please continue to submit your questions. So the next poll is, do you struggle with back and forth communication between your design and fabrication teams? Now, Steve, we all here at Evolve know this is one of the biggest complaints we hear from our clients.
Yeah, we hear it all the time. There's just keeping everybody in sync is the challenge. And we're trying to address that by these types of this direct integration with Revit where we're pushing statuses back and forth to the detailers in the shop. And we're going to continue to build out those collaboration tools on the shop side of the table, where you're able to communicate with Revit design teams and shop floor operators. So we realize that that is a big issue, and we're continuing to get better and work towards having a platform where we can communicate directly within the context of what we're working on, right? So our communication here is within the context of the spool itself and the work request.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. So over 80% of our audience is struggling with this. And yep, that is no surprise. And we are working to kind of flatten that break between BIM and prefab teams.
Yep.
All right. And our last question today, would knowing the status of a fabrication work order in Revit be beneficial to you? And Adam just walked us through exactly what that would look like if you're using Evolve Shop. Awesome. And 100% of our audience is saying yes, that would be helpful. We
Mhm.
love to hear it. Well, if this is something you think your team can benefit from, there is a link in the chat. Please go fill out that very brief form, and we'd love to sit down with you and talk about if Evolve Shop is the right fit for your team. And Steve, I know we are running a promotion right now. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so thanks for that. Yeah, so this month, up to until August 16th, we're running promotion if you have a demo, if you've had a demo in the past, and you decide that you want to move forward with the shop or Revit products, we'll have a 20% discount on that until August 16th. That promotion currently runs. Not sure if we'll extend it through the month of August or not, but it runs currently now to the 16th. So that's open for anybody to enjoy that if it interests you. But yeah, jump on. We can go into demos more deeply. I'm not sure if everybody's a Revit user on this call, but we can certainly demo both products to you in a more granular way. We can get that deep into those products. And so if you need a demo, just hit the link and we're happy to talk with you. Yep.
Mhm.
Excellent. Thanks, Marina. Adam, was there anything else that you wanted to show? Guys, continue to send in your questions if you have any. We're going to keep this demo short today, but yeah, any more questions? Adam, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I saw someone just post a question about is this included in the Evolve Revit subscription?
Mhm.
So the installers for Revit are not an added cost. That's just for any Revit user, they can have these installers. You have to be you do have to have the shop product in order to leverage the integration. So the shop product is a separate product. It's got a separate pricing model and all that kind of stuff. But the Revit integration is not like an also a separate product. That's just part
Yeah.
of the Revit
Adam, let me add in on
use.
that shop licensing. It works a little differently than our Revit product. It's not a named user licensing model. It is unlimited users on the shop product. The named user licensing doesn't really work for the shop products. We've got too many people coming in and out of those facilities. So it's a little different on the shop side. If you need more information on that, certainly reach out to our sales teams and we can talk about that. But it's a little bit different, but yeah, you need the shop license to benefit from the connection to Revit.
Great. Thanks so much, Adam and Steve. And with that promotion running, there has never been a better time to reach out to us to see if this is the right fit for you. So again, link is in the chat. And with that, thank you so much to Steve, Adam, and for everyone attending today. I hope that you found the information valuable. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody. Have a great day.